some of you believe your system is the most advanced in the universe. Let's review the numbers. Sega Genesis is 16 bits. 3DO is 32 bits. The Atari Jaguar is 64 bits. Which is more advanced? Clifford! With 64 bits, 3D graphics, real-world animation, and lightning speed that you can only get with Jaguar. Which is more advanced? Clifford!
Can you repeat the question?
Jaguar! Jaguar! Jaguar!
Welcome to the Poor Man's Retro Game Room, and welcome to my video on my Atari Jaguar collection. It does my heart good to speak and to talk about my Atari Jaguar collection. That's probably the collection that I'm the most proud of, and I take a lot of pride in it because it's really kind of been, it's gotten a bad rap on YouTube, and it seems like anybody who wants to do any clout chasing, they have to make a video about how terrible the Atari Jaguar was, and just how it was the worst console ever made. Just all kinds of misnomers about the Atari Jaguar out there. One of them that it's not 64-bit. There's two sides to that argument, and the side of the argument that I come down on is some of the guys that worked on the system, developed games for the system, say no, it is a true 64-bit system. But you know what? That's neither here nor there. I do remember when bits was a big part of gaming. The NES was 8-bit, and here comes the Sega Genesis with 16 bits. And then next thing you know is the Atari Jaguar is going to come out with a 64-bit system. And I think that in my mind and in a lot of people's minds back then, the more bits, it had to be better. Looking back now, that's just not true. Are the games fun? What kind of library does the system have? That type of thing. But I do think that the Atari Jaguar has gotten a very bad rap. There's been a lot of YouTubers make videos about it, about how terrible it is, and it seems like anytime a YouTuber wants a little clout in the retro scene anyway, they're going to go after the Atari Jaguar, and it's kind of garbage. And I don't agree with that, and that's not my angle. My angle was I owned it back in the day, so it's very nostalgic to me, and I can still remember the games that I had. And I had Kasumi Ninja, I had Alien vs. Predator, I had Doom, and right there, those two games, Alien vs. Predator and Doom, those games were actually really great games on the Atari Jaguar. I had Iron Soldier. Iron Soldier was an exclusive to the Atari Jaguar, the original Iron Soldier, and what an awesome game it was too. So my experience with the Atari Jaguar was very positive, and so I have a lot of nostalgia for it. I love collecting for it, love talking about it. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my Atari Jaguar collection with you. And we're going to start out with a few things, a few of the basics. I know that you probably have seen the controller, but there it is. And this controller has the Doom overlay in it, right there. And you can see the different weapons that you can select just right on the fly. You don't have to sort through the weapons. I actually like the controller. I think it's a comfortable controller. I think it's very functional, and I've put in some long sessions on it. I don't have any problem with it. Now there are two different types of controllers, or at least two that I know of. Ones with the black buttons, and then there is the original ones with gray buttons. And I have one of each of those. And I don't know. I think maybe the gray button one is a little better. It is a little looser as far as the D-pad. And I think I like the D-pad on the gray one a little bit better. It's really not that much of a difference though, so it's not really a big deal. They did come out with a Team Tap, which I just picked up not too long ago. This came with White Men Can't Jump, the video game, that really didn't have hardly anything to do with the movie, but so you could actually plug in this to your Atari Jaguar and actually have up to 5 players playing on one system, and it's pretty amazing. pretty cool. Yeah, so there it is, Team Tap. Alright, now I showed you the overlay on the controller. Some games came with the overlay, some games did not. And so you just kind of got to look. You can look on the internet if you ever have a question about it, and see if it did actually come with an overlay. And there are some people out there that do actually make overlays for all of the games. They're just, a third-party aftermarket type of thing. Kind of like these stickers, vinyl stickers that I got. So the Atari Jaguar did not have any end labels. So leave it to the community to come up with this. So there you go, Ruiner Pinball. The ones that I got it from have a label for every single game, even the homebrew games. So it's pretty cool. And on the back, most of them said Atari, not all of them did. And I haven't run into any issues where people talk about getting a repro or getting a fake Atari Jaguar cartridge. I just think that they're so different that I would think that it would be a little hard to do. But anyway. Alright, so I have my collection kind of separated out. I have loose carts that I'm going to go through first, and then complete in box that I'll be going through after the loose carts. So we're going to take a look at one of them that I already just showed you here. This is one of the best games on the Atari Jaguar, and it's Rayman. And if Rayman, you probably played it on the PS1. Awesome, beautiful game. Well, it's basically the same game here. There's a few differences. The music is not quite as good as it is on the PS1, but the soundtrack is really good, and the graphics are just as bright and vibrant as they are on the PS1. It's an excellent game to show off your Atari Jaguar with. If you have people who doubt the system, show them Rayman. Yeah, it could do a lot with 2D games, and I think it really missed the mark there. I would love to have seen more 2D platforming Atari Jaguar games for the system. Alright, I'm not just going through these in just random order. Raiden, of course, the really good shooter, and it is needed on the Atari Jaguar because the Jaguar has a really bad shooter in its library, and we'll go over that. But Raiden's a very good game, and a great way to play it is on the Atari Jaguar. It's a great port. Alright, one of the other great ports is NBA Jam. And you know what, if you throw any of these three ports up against their 16-bit counterparts or, whatever, these games stand up very well, and I would actually pick all three of those games on the Jag. And yeah, I'm biased, I have to admit that. But NBA Jam, one of the best ports back in the day, was for the Atari Jaguar. So very cool. Now we're going to talk about the pack-in game here, and that's Cybermorph. And I think that we've all probably watched the Nerd episode when he did a long series on the Jaguar and talked about Cybermorph and how annoying the voice is in Cybermorph. I will tell you that was exaggerated quite a bit, and I love the Nerd, man, but I see him for what he is. He's playing a character, and he has to make things look as bad as he possibly can, and it's all about humor and nostalgia, so completely understandable. And I don't think he ever came out and said, my show is a documentary. It's entertainment, of course, and I love the Nerd, but Cybermorph is not that bad of a game. In fact, it wasn't a bad pack-in game back in the day.
Looking for video games at a higher level? At only 16 bits, you'll find Nintendo and Sega. No? Then let's go where no one's ever been before. Jaguar by Atari. The only video game system with 64 bits of mega power. For 64 bits of awesome moves, mind-blowing graphics, and total control. Get bit by Jaguar.
It's 3D, you're in a ship, and you're on an open world, if you can believe that. And, you know, it's a lot of it is going in and collecting things. Some of it's wiping out enemies, and there's different objectives to the game. And it's not a great game, but it is a good game to show off the 3D, you know, the 3D capability of the Atari Jaguar back then. And it was a big thing back then. Everything was going 3D, and you just automatically thought, if it ain't 3D or polygons, then, you know, it's not any good. So I think that Cybermorph is a good game. I play it. I really enjoy it. It's not a game I play all the time, but I do get the itch to play it now and then. Alright, and I love video pinball games, and this is one of the best. Runer. And I would put it up against Devil's Crush, Alien Crush. It's just an excellent game. There's 2 tables. One of them is kind of like a Fallout style, where it's, you know, the atomic bomb back in the 50s and 40s and World War II kind of aesthetic and themed, and it's really cool. It's done very well. And on that particular board, it's pretty long, and you have 2 boards side to side. And then there is kind of a horror theme board, and it would stand up against Devil's Crush. Kind of the same type of theme. It's a lot of fun to play, and just very, very, very cool, very addictive. And man, I absolutely love Devil's Crush and Alien Crush as far as video pinball games go. But I would take Runer over those games, and that's saying a lot, because, you know, those are excellent games. Alright, so let's take a look at a few more loose carts that I have here. And I got a lot of my games from the trade group that I belong to, from Ryan over at 123 Gamerman, and then Jason over at the Kinda Cool YouTube channel. And I'll leave links to their channels in the description. Check them out, man. Do yourself a favor and go check out their videos. But Wolfenstein 3D, and this is they went above and beyond with this one. They went above expectations on Wolfenstein 3D. It's an excellent game. It's one of the best ways to play it. The music is there. It's amazing. There's elements of all of the expansion pack included in the game, and it's just done super well. Higher resolution, graphics are a little better. It's a great way to play Wolfenstein 3D. So highly recommend that. Alright, and then one of the best racing games on the system. Yeah, I'd say it is the best racing game on the system, and that's saying something, because there's a really good one that I'm going to show here pretty soon, but would be Power Drive Rally. Now this is a really cool game, and it controls a lot like RC Pro-Am on the NES. So, you know, it's kind of like we're controlling a remote control car is what it is. And tons of tracks, different cars. After each race you earn money, and you'll have to spend that money to repair your car. It's really cool. There's some skill tests that you have to take that kind of break up the racing. And you have to really, you know your functions and what your controller does and how to drive that car to get past those skill tests. But the skill tests are pretty fun, so it's very cool. And I think that you'd have a hard time finishing the game if you couldn't get through the skill tests. You know, even if you could, just because you really have to get to know that car and all the movements and the controls. So, and here's one that I haven't spent hardly any time in. Theme Park. I heard that it's a good port. It's a fun game. I've never really got into it. I've got it and the manual. I didn't want to have a game like that without the manual, because I've already read some of the reviews that the manual is crucial to have on that game. So, and then the skiing game, and man, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that. Oh my goodness. But this was an extra that my buddy over at the Kinda Cool YouTube channel threw in on one of our trades, and it is fun. It's a good game. It really is. It gets a lot of hate, or did back in the day. And it's kind of funny. There's some of those games that got hate back in the day that people love nowadays. So, you know, you just gotta kind of like what you like, you know. All right, so let's get into. Yeah, that's it. So the rest of these are going to be complete in-box games. All right, so there is a decent football game, and that's Troy Aikman football. It's not bad. It's not great. It's a pretty darn good game, though. And, you know, it's kind of like the Madden style, but it plays a little different. And I don't know. I've played 4 or 5 games of it, and I do like it. I don't go out of my way to play it, though. Even when I get an itch for, you know, video football game. It's either Tecmo Bowl, Super Tecmo Bowl, or Madden on the Sega Genesis. Yeah, I'm old, I know. Now the the Jaguar does have a couple of good fighting games on the system, and one of them is Notorious, of course, and that's Kasumi Ninja.
To master Kazumi Ninja, and to defeat the evil ninja Gyaku, you need razor-sharp reflexes, superior strength, and a really good cheat sheet with all the death moves.
Kasumi Ninja only on the 64-bit Jaguar.
I really love my copy of this. It's just in mint condition. Absolutely perfect condition. But this is a fun game. It's a good game. You can't play this like you do Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter 2. The thing that I don't like about it would be the control. And you know, you're not, if you're just punching, kicking, using all your basic moves, they work great, and you'll have a lot more success. When you start trying to get your special moves in every single time, it's a percentage, man. You can't get them 100% of the time. I don't care who you are. So when you do get them, it's really cool. And there are fatalities. The fatalities are a lot easier than the special moves, in my opinion, and that's fun. Because, you know, every game that came out back then had to have a fatality, right? Every fighting game back in the day. It wasn't cool if it didn't have a fatality. You know, Street Fighter survived it, but it had to be a really good fighting game to survive that. And then this has really turned into one of my favorite fighting games, and it's Ultra Vortec, and it's amazing what they did with this game, and having your main 3 buttons. It was really all you had to use in Ultra Vortec, but they did it, and it's just a really fun, fluid game to play. I love the graphics. The graphics are just sweet. I didn't have this back in the day, but I have some real fresh nostalgia for it now. Absolutely love this game. I get an itch and I have to put this one in from time to time and just play through it. Really good fatalities. This one kind of went off the chart with all the different things. So you had your fatalities. You could behead your opponent. You had your, I think, 2 different individual fatalities per character. And they're called annihilations, not fatalities, but that's what they are. And then you also had a poopality. Yeah, that's right. You could turn your opponent into a steaming pile of poop. I haven't got that one to work yet. I haven't really put a lot of time into it. But, you know, that was the era that we lived in. Alright, so we're going to talk about a few more sports games here. Probably one of my favorite sports games on the console would be Brutal Sports Football. This is a lot of fun, and it's kind of a mix. It's almost like rugby, soccer, and football all mixed together. But it's like what it says. It's brutal. It is brutal sports. You can beat your opponent by outscoring them, which is that's the conventional way of doing it. But you can also beat your opponent by beheading, I think it is, like, I don't know, 80% of their team or 90%, into where they just can't continue because you've beheaded them all. There are weapons that you can pick up in the field of play. They last just a certain amount of time, but they really do a lot more damage. There's a rabbit boost that makes all your guys faster, and that's a huge advantage. There's a turtle one, which is like a down. It makes you really super slow. So it has a lot. There's a lot to it. It's a lot of fun, and it's just chaos, man. You don't have to be a sports fan to love Brutal Sports Football. Really cool game. And I had my cousin down, and that was a game that we were actually able to play multiplayer on. And man, we had a blast with it. It was a lot of fun. I did beat him. He might watch this video, so I can't, waste a time where I can kind of rub it in his face. But I did beat him, so there's that. White Men Can't Jump. I've played this a few times. I just picked this up not too long ago. It came with that team tap that I showed you. It was brand new, so I broke the seal on it, and it was wrapped. That team tap was wrapped in with it, $49 for a brand new White Men Can't Jump and the team tap. Not a bad deal. White Men Can't Jump isn't that bad. It's not as bad as the hate that it's gotten from, certain YouTubers. It's actually a fairly fun game, and I like each guy has his own like super dunk, and it's a combination you put in, and I don't know, I think you can hit it about 75% of the time, but it's fun, man. And I think it would really be fun with multiplayer too. I haven't had a chance to try that one out, multiplayer. Now, one of the staples in the Atari Jaguar library is Tempest.
Oh, Bob, look! What do I think? I don't know.
What's the use of even trying? You can't get a break.
New Tempest 2000.
What's that?
Only on the Jaguar 64-bit by Atari. Do the math.
This is awesome, man. And when I first started recollecting my Jaguar, I heard how great Tempest was, and I'm just like, it just doesn't look like that's for me, Never really played it in the arcade or never really got into it, but collecting for the Jag, I'm like, man, I gotta get it. I mean, it's a staple game. Everybody talks about, how great Tempest is on the Atari Jaguar. A lot of really cool Jaguar owners say you can't have a Jaguar collection without Tempest, and you know what? I think they're right. I would have to say I think they're right. It's a lot of fun, man, and it sucks you in, and it's pretty weird because you're playing with a control pad. Now, there are guys out there that have modded their controllers to have like a dial on it. That would be really fun. There's a lot to check out if you're ever wanting to do that, but that's pretty cool. But I have not had a problem using the D-pad. It's weird. It works surprisingly very well with Tempest, and you'll get muscle memory with Tempest, man, and you'll start getting really into a zone and just get really good at it. Have some really long stretches where you just do awesome at it, and it's just so good, so colorful, fast, fun, sound is awesome, music's great, so highly recommend Tempest. And then one of the games that the nerd actually kind of liked was Attack of the Mutant Penguins. This is one of the weirdest games I own, and I absolutely love it. It's awesome, man. It's kind of like a tower defense game, but the rules are crazy. I mean, nuts. And I love the box art too, by the way. But yeah, it's it's crazy, and I can't go through all the rules with you right now. I know I'd forget some, but the whole idea is that you're picking up these little gremlins, or I can't remember what they're called, but and then you put them in a chest to open and unlock the chest, or you can use them to make a trap for your enemy. And if the penguins are wearing hats, then they're the bad penguins, but the penguins without the hats are on your side, and you don't want to let them get on the scale. If too many of them get into your home base, get on the scale, then it's game over. It's chaos, it's wild, it's crazy, but there is some strategy to it, and it's a lot of fun, man. It is a lot of fun. Alright, and then one of the games that I just picked up not too long ago is Dragon. the Bruce Lee story. And of course, the movie that came out back in the day, I loved. I was always a big Bruce Lee fan. I could never make my punches sound like him, though, for some reason. And when I would do a kick, you know, my pants didn't do that sound, you know, that type of thing, for some reason. But Bruce Lee was awesome, and this game is not awesome. It really isn't. But I think it's a little better than a lot of people give it credit for, because I don't know that they really truly understand it. There's different fighting stances, and at different times you can change your fighting stance. It has a lot to do with it. But yeah, the game isn't that fun. It's true. I mean, it's not as bad as what people say it is, but it ain't a great game. So, all right, now let's get a stinker out of the way here. So the other shooter is Trevor McFur in the Crescent Galaxy. I'm glad that I have the game. I'm glad that I have it complete in box. As you can see, they're across the 64-bit frontier. And I think this was the only game on launch that was available, if I remember right, right off the bat. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong on that. It's been a while since I've looked into it, but I don't know, man. I really wanted to like this game, and there's games in my collection that people have dogged and just trashed the Atari Jaguar for having that I love. So, whatever. But this isn't one of them. There's no music, and I had never played a shooter before without music. You gotta have music in a shooter, and it's incredibly hard. I don't know how to even explain it. It's weird. I say it's a bad game. It's not one of the best games in the Atari Jaguar library, that's for sure. Alright, then let's check out a puzzle game, and it's Dino Dudes Evolution. If you ever played that, same game. This is a really good way to play this game, though. It's a good port. I didn't think I would care much for it, but I play it every now and then just as kind of a chill game to play, just when you want to kick back and relax and have some fun. Yeah, and then here's one that it's not as bad as people say it is. It really isn't, in my opinion. Club Drive, it's mediocre in my opinion. It's all right. It's fun to me because it's always been a staple in the Atari Jaguar library that a lot of people have talked about. And I had never played it until I was actually able to collect this. I got this one brand new and broke the seal on it. And, I don't know, man. The frame rate isn't great, but I did have some fun with it, and I could see where you could have some fun with it. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of exploration. You can do racing on it, kind of going to one point, coming back. It's really hard to explain. But there's like these big apartment buildings that you can go drive around in and collect, I don't know, like these power balls. So, that's Club Drive. It's alright. Now here's the game that I'm going to get toasted for, probably, that I don't think that is a bad game. I'd say it's a mediocre racing game. And that's Supercross 3D. Yeah, the frame rate's terrible. And just the gameplay is different. So the track it's a dirt track, of course, and if you're inside the track where you can see that other people have driven, it's kind of the well-driven part of the track, you'll be fine, and you can maneuver in it, you're fast in it. If you get outside that part, yeah, it bogs you down. You could run into visible walls that can tear you up. So, it's good and bad. But I was expecting an unplayable game from all the hate that I heard. It's not unplayable. And in fact, I actually enjoyed my time playing it. And we'll play it again. So, yeah, there you go. Supercross 3D. I'm out of room here. Another racing game, and this one is as bad as people say it is. Checkered Flag. It's not good, and at least I haven't been able to do well at it. and it's weird because you can just stop like right at the beginning and wait there, I think it is. I've never tried this, but I've seen some other guys do it. And then I think the rubber banding is so bad that if you do that and then you take off, you'll win every time. But you cannot get around this course without wrecking. I mean, it's just the frame rate and the control is terrible. It's close to being unplayable. Close. I would love to hear somebody who actually likes the game, because I would really love to hear that. And maybe I'm missing something. But you know, we like what we like, right? Alright, so an excellent racing game, a great arcade motorcycle racer is Super Burnout. And this one gets to me. I love this game. This game is awesome. It's 60 frames per second, smooth, great detailed background, just awesome, man. The environment that you race in, you race all over the world, and it's just a blast. And it's an excellent game. And my copy is, this is the one I think I opened up and the plastic hadn't even been removed from the cartridge. But there wasn't any, like, a seal on it either. So, but I love this copy. I'm really glad I have a good copy. That is one that I saw a high-profile video game channel really rip it up and say that it runs about 20 frames per second. It's not smooth. It's sticky. They hadn't played the game. You can't play this game and give that kind of a review. They hadn't played it. They put it in there, trashed the game, thinking that, you know, nobody's gonna notice. Who all plays the Jaguar anyway, you know? So we'll get us a few points here and just trash this Super Burnout for the Jaguar. It has to be terrible. It's not. It's a great game. I'll put it up against any motorcycle arcade racer. I will put this one up against it. It's awesome. It's annoying when a high-profile channel will do that, because all that does is they'll never play it. They'll just take their word for it, right? It's nuts, and it bugs me. Another really cool game is Cannon Fodder, and this one I did a CRT gaming episode on it. It's a lot of fun, man. It kind of reminds me of the real-time strategy games that used to play on the PC, you know. But you get an amount of troops and you can move them, and basically most of the time I think the objective is just to wipe the map clean of your enemy. But there's bazookas, there's grenades, and it's a lot of fun. And every time you lose a guy, he gets put on, I don't know if it's Boot Hill, but it's you'll see him in the cemetery, and it's just cool. And the more you go, the more guys are gonna die and populate your hill, and the harder it gets. It does get pretty rough, but it's a lot of fun to play, so I don't mind it being rough. Yeah. So, Cannon Fodder, highly recommend it. Now we've got Hover Strike, and you know, this is a good game. It's not perfect, and it's not great, but it's good. The frame rate can really be sticky. I kind of like the control because you're in a hovercraft, of course, and it's got a good overlay too, by the way. But you're in a hovercraft, and it really makes you feel like you're steering a hovercraft. Like, you're not going to take off and then just turn a quarter, you know, without floating around. You really do need to learn how to use your brakes on this, on Hover Strike, and reverse. But you know, once you get it figured out, and once you get the controls figured out, it's a lot of fun. It's a good game, and all the polygons are textured in this game. I think there might be one world that's not, but yeah, it's a really good game. Okay, and another great game that this is a really great port and a good way to play it. Flashback for the Atari Jaguar. I'm glad I got this complete in box. It's a pretty sweet game. I'm sure, you know, if you're watching this channel, you've probably played Flashback at one point or another. I would say that this one looks better than most of the other ports. Has a higher resolution. For some reason, the sound is down really low on it. So I mean, you got to really crank your TV to hear it, to have it, you know, at a normal volume level. The problem with that is you'll forget, and then you'll put another game in, and it'll about blast your ears out. But you know, other than that, it's really a really good game. I've played a lot of this Flashback, and it's one of those games I just get in the mood where I got to play some Flashback on the Jaguar and stick it in and play for a few hours. So another game that kind of got some hate, the port did anyway, is Pitfall: The Mayan Adventure, and I'm really not sure. You know, I think it's 30 frames per second. It's not the 60 frames that maybe some of the 16-bit counterparts are, but it's more vibrant, and it's more. It's at a better resolution. The colors are awesome. The game is a lot of fun. I don't notice any difference playing it on the Sega Genesis or the Jaguar. I haven't noticed it. The only thing I notice is it looks better on the Jaguar, of course. And I think it just disappointed a lot of people. They thought maybe, you know, and I'm sure they could have done a better job on the frame rate. But I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. And I think if you own a Jag, man, I would recommend Pitfall: The Mayan Adventure. All right, and here is a game that I won't recommend to anybody unless they're a collector, and that's Bubsy. I don't mind Bubsy. I don't mind it on other systems. It does look great on the Jaguar. Problem is that you can't always tell what's an enemy, and an enemy can hit you from anywhere at any time, and it's hard to really figure out what your hitbox is, and it's just cheap, man. It's cheap. You will you will take damage, and it's no fault of your own, man. And that's the one thing that I can't get past on that game. It is so hard, it's frustrating. It will make you throw that awesome Atari Jaguar across the floor. Here is a good platformer, though, Zool 2. And I bet our friends in the UK, I think, maybe have played a little more Zool than we have. There is Zool on other consoles, but Zool 2 is a really good game. And I think that if you get into the settings, there's a few settings you can make to make it a little easier to control. Because right off the bat, the default setting has you kind of running past, and it's kind of floaty. You can go in and turn one of those settings off. I'm trying to remember what they named it, but you can mess with it. But you turn that off, and you'll stop right, and it makes your control tighter and easier. It's a collectathon for sure. If you like collecting, collection type of platformers, you'll love Zool 2. Really cool bosses, very bright, colorful levels, and it's a lot of fun. It's got that 90 attitude that you know, that the games in the 90s had to have, right? All right, so now we're going to get down to really some of the best games on the system here. I've got about 5 more to show you here. Skyhammer. Complete in box, and it was done by Rebellion, and this is one of those games that was finished, was reviewed. There was demos had to have been sent out to these, you know, magazines, and they reviewed it, got good reviews, and then the death of the Jaguar came and it never got released. I shouldn't say never, because I think it's Songbird picked it up, and they didn't have to do much to it, and they released it. I don't know if they had to even finish it. I think it was finished, but they had to publish it, you know, and so they picked it up, they published it, and it is awesome, and it really is a hardware pusher. You're in this flying, kind of like a helicopter, a machine, and all the polygons are textured, and it's in a fully textured maps. And you'll get objectives, and you'll have to go out and complete these objectives. The combat is awesome. It's a high quality, excellent game, and this was brand new. You can get it brand new for around $90 to $100 Atari Age. And then this is the other game that I have that's kind of like that. This one's 05. You can see the price tag on there. That's kind of strange, but and it's got the original seal on it. Of course, you know, it's been opened, but I'm keeping it kind of in that condition. This is kind of a heavy hitter for me. This one's expensive, man, and it's a lot of fun. It's the one that's playing back there on the iArt CRT TV. Just got it not too long ago. In fact, it was last week, so I haven't put a ton of time into it. It's tough, but it's fun. It's really cool. Really bright, vibrant colors. Really good 3D models. It's a lot of fun. All right, and I'm going to show you a couple of exclusives here.
Introducing Alien vs. Predator for the 64-bit Atari Jaguar. You might not want to play it alone.
Mom.
Alien vs. Predator. You have to have this if you own an Atari Jaguar. It's just that's kind of what you sign up for when you buy an Atari Jaguar. Alien vs. Predator. It's a first-person shooter. You can play as either the Marine, the Alien, or the Predator, and they all have different move sets, different specials, or whatever ways of doing things, and they all three have their own overlay for the controller. So that's one thing to keep your eye open. If you're buying Alien vs. Predator for your Atari Jaguar, make sure that it has all the overlays, and there's 3 of them. So very, very cool. And this game can still make you jump. It has jump scares built right into it because it's just so creepy. It's such a good game. But when you're like the Marine especially, man, you don't know if an alien's going to be right behind you, and then all of a sudden you'll hear it, and it's too late, man. It's chopping you up, and you got to run. And, it's a survivor, kind of a survival horror game, in my opinion, because you really got to make sure that your ammo, you got to make sure that you got enough to make it last. You got to be efficient in it. You got to find different maps throughout the levels. You know, there's computers where you can get the map, and you know, and it's tough. It's pretty it's a pretty rough game as far as the difficulty level, but it's worth it because it's just a lot of fun to play. All right, here's another exclusive to the system, and that's Iron Soldier. One of the best games on the system, one of my favorite games really for years, Iron Soldier. I remember having this back when I had the system, and back when I owned my first Atari Jaguar, and it was just a blast, man. I got that home, got to be able to play it, sit down and play it, and it just really made you feel like you're in a big, huge mech. I mean, giant mechs, and just blowing up everything. Your entire environment's destructible in Iron Soldier. In fact, you'll find weapons and different ammo for those weapons inside buildings after you destroy them. A lot of really good combat. It does take a little while to learn the controls, but it has an excellent overlay, and I would recommend, if you're going to get Iron Soldier, get that overlay because it really does help. And you have mounted weapons on your shoulders, on your side. Yeah, it's cool. It's a lot of fun. Different objectives too. I mean, it's not really the same old thing. All right, then here is one of my favorite games on the Jaguar, and a game that really made me love my Jaguar back in the day when I got it. And of course, that is Doom.
Hell is a dark prison filled with lost souls and demons. And how do you escape this damnation? Blast the pink demons right between their beady little eyes. Doom for the 64-bit Jaguar.
That is Doom. And this game is just awesome. This port for the Atari Jaguar is excellent. I think it's probably runs about 30 frames, maybe a little bit less here and there. So the frame rate, you know, isn't the best, but it did take up the entire screen. It didn't have a border around it. There is no music in game as far as like on the levels. There are between the levels, you get to hear the Doom music. But that lack of music could actually make it a little more creepier. It makes it a little more scary and a little more realistic, you know. If I had my choice, yeah, I would want music, of course. But it makes up for that, and it doesn't cut a whole lot out. It didn't lose a whole lot in the transfer to the home console. And all the other home console versions were based on this original Doom Jaguar. The 32X was, PS1, which has the best port of Doom back in the, you know, retro era. It also uses the code for Doom as well. So all the other home ports of Doom really copied the Atari Jaguar. Yeah. So absolutely, if you have a Jaguar, got to get Doom, man. It's great. It's a great experience. Well, that's it. For my Jaguar video. System that I love and that I had a lot of fun with. I hope I didn't bore you to tears talking about it. I'm very passionate about the Atari Jaguar and love collecting for it and playing for it, like I said. So thank you so much if you made it through the end of this video. Man, I owe you one. Leave a comment if you played the Jaguar, if you own the Jaguar, what games are your favorite games for the Jag. Yeah, let me know. And have you ever seen anybody cover it from a positive point of view before? There are tons of guys out there that do, so don't get me wrong. But I'd love to hear from you. So, all right, well, thank you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You want games? Jaguar's got fast 3D 64-bit games. You want slow, flat games? No. Slow is for turtles, flat is for boards, fast and 3D is for games. Jaguar games. So scary you'll cry like a whimpering fool. But you won't feel like a fool because the games won't be flat and slow, flat, slow, flat, slow. Heard enough and get fast in 3D. Games that are now playing, games that are coming soon. Games that get a 10 because they've got a good beat and you can dance to them. You want fast 3D games? Here's an idea. Atari Jaguar, 64 bits, $159. Yeah, $159. Do the math. Let's see what this TV can do.